My name is Charles. 12 years ago, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. It set me on a journey to better understand this condition. It's taken me around the world as I hope to change not only my life, but others living with this disease. I've teamed up with some of the best in health to find ways to not only control, but to reverse. It does not take much to live for others, and what we leave is how we will be remembered. I hope at the end of this journey, we will see that hope is a good thing and the start of a better future. Welcome to Reversed. So we've been here a few days now, and I gotta say this has really been life-changing, even for me. You know, we've done a lot of shows, but to me, I think this one has really come together because we have some of the best in business, from not just doctors, but even influencers who have changed their life with how they eat. And that's really powerful to say. You know, there are so many misconceptions about, what we eat and how we eat and when to eat and things like that. And obviously we know that at times the mainstream media and also the mainstream healthcare system is not going to teach us exactly what we need to know. And these doctors and experts have really dug deep. You know, the interesting thing is that some of them were vegetarian, some of them were vegan, and they were deep into that. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were talking about.
So I started my Steak and Butter Gal page on Instagram around end of August last year, just to document my journey from vegan to carnivore. I was vegan for 6 years prior to going carnivore cold turkey.
But then they started to go deeper and educated themselves and really started to understand food. And now they're either carnivore or leaning more toward keto carnivores, that they're ketovore. And as we see, and we will see, how so many of them have reverse conditions, come off of medication. And this is not about reversing type 2 diabetes. It's about the reversing the way we think about food and about health. And I'm so proud of everyone coming this far, and from all around the world, from as far as Australia to Hawaii. We've got some of my friends who came back to support me, like Dr. Asa, Maria, Ken, Berry, who believed in us so much on the first season that they came back to just be a part of healing. I hope at the end that this will reach enough people that people will start questioning, asking their doctors the tough questions, looking in the mirror and asking themselves the tough questions, because they need to be asked. I mean, we are here for a short period of time, and none of us want to be sick. And nobody came out here for anything other than to leave their impact. And there are no stars here. Everybody is just, we're all one. And that's what Reverse is all about.
Yep, noodles on the end of them. That's good stuff. I guess I shouldn't eat them all though, but perfect. Here's my ready pile.
Hey, good morning. It's a great day to awake in Costa Rica to a golden sun that we thought was a floodlight happening in the room, because we hadn't seen the sun risen at 5:30. Not to mention the cool, refreshing walk through the hills, the mountains here.
I was getting the feeling this morning, and it's very easy when you've got such a beautiful place and terrific food, but all the experts coming in It's almost as though we're in this special, it's like the movies where you're in this special resort area where it's the fountain of youth is. Everyone is so healthy, so energetic.
So the last couple of days have been amazing, and it's just the conversations that we have with the doctors and the experts about carnivore and about health and, you know, being a healthier version of yourself has been really good, really amazing.
So yesterday I had this conversation with the guests and Dr. Berry and Dr. Chaffee and Dr. Kiltz, and it was really interesting to hear them talk about especially fiber, because that's something that's really pushed on us, is to get fiber and eat fiber, and fiber is so important for us.
I'm super grateful to be here. Really, it's a marvelous experience. The place is beautiful. I'm Costa Rican and I enjoy Costa Rica always.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good to have you all back gathered together again. Today I thought we should talk about keto versus carnivore. What are the differences? Which one should you follow? Are there pros and cons? What are they? Etc. And so there's really four things at play here. Number one is all of us need to eat low carbohydrate. Human beings are by design a low carbohydrate mammal. If you eat too many carbohydrates, you get sick and fats. Secondly is the inflammatory question. Some people, the oxalates, lectins, phytates, etc. in plants cause lots of inflammation. And in other people, they seemingly don't really cause that inflammation. And there's like a normal distribution curve for everything involving human physiology. And so people over here can eat all the oxalates and all the lectins and phytates. It doesn't really seem to matter at all. Most people, if they eat too much, they have a problem. Some people, if they eat any, they have a problem. And so that can make the decision. Also, you always want to eat foods that are nutrient dense, without exception. Everything that goes in your mouth should be nutrient dense. Keto and carnivore both have that check in their column. They're both very nutrient dense diets. And then the final thing is carbohydrate or sugar addiction. Very real problem for many people. For some people, even the few carbohydrates on a keto diet can call up the previous sugar or carbohydrate addiction. And so they may need to pick carnivore over keto, and it may initially feel more restrictive, but ultimately it feels very freeing because you don't have that monkey on your back anymore, that if you have that keto treat, all of a sudden you're in the pantry looking for the carbs again. So what questions, what additional comments do any of you guys have about that?
I love what you said about that, Dr. Berry. I would love to bring up the topic of abstainer versus moderator, because I feel like if we know our tendencies and our habits, we can kind of choose the best lifestyle for us. For me, carnivore was the way to go, because I need simplicity and the easiest. So going from vegan straight to carnivore was my direction, because I knew if I did any type of moderating, it would kind of just lead to binging on carbs. So I needed to cut it out completely to feel free. So I love what you said about that. And Dr. Berry and Nisha, you guys coined the term ketovore. Yeah. Which is amazing for moderators, because you could have the little bit of veg, carbs that you love with carnivore meals.
Yes. But I also want to say, my journey started 26 years ago, and I started with keto. And for me, I was 16 at that age, or you can do the math if you want to, but I was 16, and if someone would have said you can only eat meat, I wouldn't even have tried. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even have tried at all. Yeah. But for me, I just kind of started some exotic things like making protein cinnamon rolls with the egg whites and stuff. Very ketovore, but still not carnivore. Yeah. But it was really my gateway to learning and just realizing how I felt better and better and better cutting certain things out. Yeah. So I think it's kind of like, do you rip the Band-Aid off and do it all at once? Yeah. Or are you like baby steps?
I think the momentum that I've created with the keto and then ketovore eventually led me to be a lot more open to receiving the carnivore message and to trying it out. And I feel like a lot of people would do best that way as well. For others, they might be able, like you just went, full-blown carnivore and it worked for you. So you have to know your personality type, your history, addictions, things like that, and then try it both ways, see what happens.
Yeah. And I'm still a huge proponent of a keto diet. It's helped hundreds of thousands of people. But what I am finding is that it's very often a gateway to carnivore, because if you go real whole food keto, you're going to improve your health to some degree. And I recognize that in my journey. But it did not get me where I wanted to be. Only being as close to zero carb, no plants as possible, that's where I feel my best health. But I'm with you. If you'd have told me back when I was experimenting with low carb, dude, you just need to eat meat and eggs, I'd have been like, no.
I love being here and learning from all of you and understanding that each of you have a twist and a difference, and that makes unique the process, because it's learning about yourself and understanding what gives you a better way to continue in the process.
I'm glad.
So for me, it's been like very inspiring to know that.
So, Dr. Ken, and in
Yes.
fact, then we would maybe at 10% carnivore, you may be at 100% carnivore, and we are all going along that spectrum to becoming to it.
I think for many people, it's a natural progression. So first of all, let me just say this very blatantly. Any dietitian or nutritionist that says that meat plays no part in the human diet is currently ignorant. And I don't mean that I'm not being derogatory. They just are literally ignorant of what they're talking about. And that's very common in the nutrition and dietitian space. Every human on the planet needs to have at least some percentage of meat and eggs in their diet, by definition of what species we are.
We should talk about falling down the carb hole, like big time. Because I know a lot of carnivores, they're loving this lifestyle and they're like, let's dabble in some keto sweets, a little harmless snack with stevia in it. They have that bite and it opens up their addiction again. And the next day, they literally fall into that carb hole and they can't get out. So what are some tactics that we can help with where they won't fall into that carb hole, they won't dabble into those sweets, even though they feel like it's harmless and stevia is not going to do anything to their health?
Yeah, well, I think the very first thing that needs to happen is every nutrition expert needs to admit that there is such a thing as sugar addiction, carbohydrate addiction, and I think that really 10 years from now we're going to look back and say it's actually a sweetness addiction, because our ancestral DNA doesn't really know the difference between stevia and sugar when it comes to our taste buds. All we know is, something sweet.
That's what I tell my students also. Anything that comes out of a package is not food, it's a science fair project. You have no business eating it. Even if you have no problem with sweetness and you can have some berries, the focus should be on a whole foods ketogenic diet if that's your starting point. And maybe you could tolerate some sweetness as you transition, but keep that to less than 5 to 10% and be aware, are you an abstainer or a moderator with regards to cravings and the sweet taste?
Isn't this fascinating? Yeah.
That was part of my symptoms.
Excellent conversation. There's so much more we've got to talk about. And so thank you guys for joining me out here today.
Thank you.
Experts.
Coming up on Reversed. Sad to say, one of our amazing guests is going to be leaving our house soon.
Were any of you guys, when you first heard about carnivore, were you like, where will I get vitamin fill in the blank?
I'm really excited about this next segment.
Carbs, plants, and sugars damage our cells and bodies, causing dysfunction and disease. Leading fertility specialist Dr. Robert Kiltz has a solution for improving your health and wellness. A high-fat, no-carb carnivore diet featuring inflammation-reducing foods like bacon, eggs, butter, and beef, combined with intermittent feasting, improves glucose and insulin levels and virtually all aspects of your health. Learn more in Dr. Kiltz's new book, Kiltz's Keto is Carnivore, a guide for a fertile life and beyond. Available at Amazon.com.
You know, I often don't break my fast until 3 or 4 p.m., but when I do, it's very often with a juicy ribeye steak. And U.S. Wellness Meats sponsored Reverse Carnivore and provided the delicious meat that we've enjoyed all week. and it's about that time for me to break my fast, so guess what? Let's do this. Eat your meat. Oh, also, U.S. Wellness Meats wants all of our house guests to be successful, so when they get home, they're going to be surprised by a big fat box of meat being delivered to their house soon, because we want them to be successful long term, and one of the best ways to do that is to have availability of delicious grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised beef.
In today's world, eating healthy takes effort. That's why at U.S. Wellness Meats, we've had one mission since we started: to produce meat, dairy, and other products that are healthy and delicious, and that our customers love. In these days of empty calories and convenience above all, it may not be easy to grow real food from the ground up, but we think it's the most important work there is.
Can I get everybody's attention? So, sad to say, one of our amazing guests, experts, is going to be leaving our house soon. So we just I gotta get a big hug. I'm sure everybody else is going to need a big hug. Sarah, she actually lives like 5 minutes away from my mom. We did a segment, we've been talking, she's been so passionate and just amazing as far as, you know, just all the feedback you've given, the support, and you've done amazing here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. I've had the most amazing time ever with everybody. I've connected with everyone. I did not expect to have so much fun, and at the same time feel so fulfilled and feel like we're doing really, really important work here. So thank you so much for having us all, for doing this, for the carnivore community. I know we're all so very grateful to you and Brandy as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's a wrap for Sarah, and we'll see you soon.
So yeah, thank you all so much, and I'll see you online, I guess, really soon. So for the last couple of days that I've been here on set, it has been such an amazing experience talking one-on-one and seeing a lot of the other experts in person for the first time and really connecting with this community on a whole other level. I am so grateful for Charles bringing us all together and doing this despite all odds, despite really working hard to be able to garner the support that this TV series is going to require. So, you know, I'm just so happy, so grateful, and just having the best time ever.
How's everyone doing today?
Pretty good.
Amazing.
All right. So the purpose of today, we just wanted to talk about a few things, about some myths about diet and nutrition. Obviously, most people, when they're saying they want to eat healthy, they're thinking, what? We're thinking low fat, lots of vegetables, salads, things like that. Is that right? Is that what people were pretty much eating before this?
Yeah. Fruits and veggies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
for me, going carnivore, that was one of the easiest things to do, was to give up vegetables, plant foods, because I despise them, but I eat them because that's what you're told to eat. That's what's going to get you healthy. You know, one individual was saying 7-8 cups a day of salad, like spinach, kale, you know, and the taste it's a bitter taste. I don't like it, and it's just like I was dressing it up with so much garbage just to kind of get rid of the nasty taste of it.
And did you try that? Did you try those 7 servings of
I
vegetables
did.
and things like that?
It was almost impossible to finish it.
And did that help your health? Did that help you lose weight?
No.
So who here eats vegetables and salads and things like that? Who thinks they're healthy?
Well, I sure thought they were.
Yeah.
This is something that went back to when I was in 7th grade, biology, learning that plants and animals are in an evolutionary arms race. Plants becoming more and more poisonous, so less and less animals can eat them so they can survive and thrive.
Right. I think so many of us, when you first decide to get healthy, right, you're living on Cheetos and Doritos and Pepsi Cola and honey buns, and you're like, you don't care about your health or your diet. Then you suddenly start to care. And so what so many people are given is the false choice, the false healthy option. And so many of us are like, okay, I can't be drinking Pepsi and eating honey buns and Cheetos all day. So I'm going to replace that with a big ass salad, right? But what happens with that false choice is you don't get any benefits. And I think so many people get frustrated and they quit and just give up because that false choice tricks them, and it steals all their motivation and all their willpower, because they did try something and it didn't help.
Ultimately, it's trust. We trust in our professionals, the doctors, the teachers, because we learn about healthy diet where? In our schools, right? And on advertising. And we all want to be healthy. And so what is it about a plant that could be dangerous for us, right? But again, that trust that vegetables are good for us, where in fact we're talking about carnivore as they're deadly and they're poisonous. And yet in keto, and maybe this is the confusion, we've all come from the keto world in one way or another, there are keto-friendly vegetables. But are there really? And I know for myself, I suffered and I found that they were deadly and damaging. I call salad nature's toilet paper. Ultimately, it's contaminated and deadly. And so by simply eliminating my salad that I loved, Caesar salad was my favorite, but also spinach salad, loved it. And I suffered from kidney stones for years. Did any of my doctors tell me, wow, did you know that calcium oxalates make these calcium stones made out of oxalates?
They probably told you to cut back on calcium, but they never mentioned the oxalate part, right?
Never mentioned, and neither did they ask me about my diet. And it's simple as that. And by simply going to a meat-based, animal-based nutrition plan, eliminate the plants of any significance or frequency, you'll feel better than ever before.
You have to have certain nutrients from these vegetables. But if you look from a historical anthropological point of view, paleoanthropological point of view, our ancestors for quite some time, millions of years, have been exclusively eating meat. And so in fact, we do get all the nutrients that we need just from eating meat. There aren't nutrients in plants that we have to have that we can't get from meat. The RDAs, recommended daily allowances of different nutrients, those were figured out at a time when everyone was eating a mixed diet. And so you actually need a different constellation of nutrients depending on what you eat. For instance, people talk about vitamin C. Vitamin C is utilized and absorbed in very different ways in our body depending on what we eat. And if you're eating carbohydrates, you need vitamin C measured in milligrams. But if you're not eating carbohydrates, you need vitamin C measured in nanograms, so 1/1,000,000th the amount of vitamin C. So it's very, very different.
Were any of you guys, when you first heard about carnivore, were you like, but where will I get vitamin fill in the blank? Were you thinking about that at all? Which vitamins were you afraid you wouldn't get on just a meat diet?
All of the vitamins. I mean, especially even my mom sent me an audio like, hey, please ask everyone how I get my vitamins.
Carnivore really simplifies the food choices. You're still getting the ultimate in nutrient density. So you're getting all the amino acids and fatty acids and vitamins and minerals. You're getting all that, but in this very simplified, easy to remember diet. In fact, many of the people who follow me, they eat a diet exclusively of beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. That makes up 100% of their diet. They're very happy with that. They're very satiated. They're very satisfied. And they're also very healthy. But somehow dietitians and nutritionists and your doctor, they have no idea. They think you have to include plants to get this vitamin or this mineral or the other, and it's just not true.
And the point is not that you can get away without eating vegetables. It's that you don't want to eat vegetables. Vegetables actually cause harm. One of the major defenses they have is by using these defense chemicals to be physically poisonous, to stop animals and insects and even predatory fungus and things like that from eating them. And so the plant is not our food, and it doesn't want to be our food, and it protects itself and at our cost.
Silent killer.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a silent killer.
Great. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah,
I think
thank you.
that was
Thank
great.
you. Thank you. Pleasure.
Hey guys, I'm really excited about this next segment. We came up with something fun. We had some viewers and fans that were online. I may even recognize a few familiar faces actually, yeah. So they have sent in some questions. We're gonna try to answer those questions, and if you have questions while we watch, you can ask us too, and we'll do our best. Does that sound good?
Sounds pretty good.
All right, check it out.
With the carnivore diet, I understand eating a lot of meat. However, there's a lot of different opinions out there. So what are your thoughts on eating organ meats? Are they necessary to thrive, especially long term? Do we need them? Or also, could they be hurting us? Is it something that we actually have to watch out for, vitamin A toxicity? So I'd love to know your thoughts on what you think about organ meats with carnivore.
Oh, well, we talked about this some, but I love one thing Dr. Berry said, I think we talked about this yesterday, right? Was about how our tongue is so knowledgeable. Now, when we're on processed foods and we're still eating addictive sugars and sweets, our tongue knows nothing, right? Like we're just addicts, so our tongue will say, oh, you need the donut. But then when we get off of all that, our tongue is really the gut-brain connection. It's so wise. And so there are people that say that liver tastes amazing to them. And I think those people should definitely eat it. And then there are people who eat it for a little while and it starts to taste not so good.
Out of an abundance of caution, because liver is such a superfood, it's so full of vitamins and minerals, all right? Especially rather than take a handful of supplements every day, why not eat 2 ounces of liver once or twice a week? And I think it can be any liver, chicken liver, cod liver, calf's liver, duck liver, oh my God, really tasty. But I do think Kelly's exactly right. If liver suddenly becomes distasteful after you really loved it and you're like, nah, I don't want it, I think that's your body sending you a signal. You've got what you need right now.
In the beginning of my carnivore journey, I used a lot of crutches to get me through and stay off of the standard American diet. I would drink coffee and I put spices on everything. Now I'm entering my 4th year as a carnivore and I'm wondering, is coffee, which isn't carnivore, bad for me? And what about spices? I use spices on all my meats and I love it, but it's technically not carnivore either, so I wonder if these things are okay.
Go.
All right, off coffee now for 6 months, a coffee addict for at least 50 years, if not more. I always said coffee is okay. But once I stopped, I believe that I felt better than ever. And the addiction for me was gone quickly because I had some great support for people that encouraged me. I think coffee is not the best for us. But when you're starting carnivore and you're in it, it still probably is not that bad, I think, as Dr. Berry often says. And adding cream or butter probably tames the side effects or the bad components of it a little bit. But remember, it is a plant product. It contains a drug from a plant, caffeine for one, and likely many others. So my general recommendation is work to get off of it, but eating plants and vegetables and fruit is probably the worst scenario. Eliminate and get to minimize, if not eliminate, the coffee at some point.
Hi, my name is Benoit Lasserte. I live in Quebec, Canada. I'm on a carnivore diet since 1 year. In my area, the grass-fed meat and fat is twice as expensive than grain-fed. So my question is, how much better is grass-fed compared to the grain-fed meat and fat? Thank you.
So when you say grass-fed, what you really mean is grass-fed and grass-finished. That's what you really mean by that. Now, the omega-3 content is about 3% higher. But what did he say the price difference was?
Twice.
So should you pay double the price for a 3% increase?
Or just buy that and a can of sardines every week.
Or that. Because sardines are also cheap, right?
Yes.
Or cod liver is also cheap. And so this is a false this is one of those false arguments that we all get into, like, oh my God, and we have these huge debates and stuff, and really it's a non-issue. Also, grass-finished has a little bit higher polyphenol count. So instead of getting your polyphenols from plants, you can actually get it from grass-finished beef. But is that a big deal? Probably not. So really let your pocketbook be your guide. If you can afford grass-finished, then I want you to buy grass-finished. But if you cannot afford grass-finished, panda massaged meat, buy the best meat that you can afford, because that is 1,000 times better for you than a plant-based diet.
But ultimately, the difference between grass-fed, grass-finished, and grain-finished doesn't matter. You eat the meat, find something for your pocketbook. That's the best way to do it. This is a great Q&A session. And did you guys enjoy it?
Oh, we did.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome,
It's
awesome.
amazing. Thank
Much
you.
more to come.
Thank you.
All right.
God bless. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, friends.
Hello.
How was lunch?
Delicious.
Good. Thank you. I love cooking. I also love talking about carnivore and health. And today right now we're going to talk about how to lose fat cells and reverse insulin resistance. And it's a complicated topic. And as you'll find, Ken and I maybe have two solutions, because if one's not working for you, maybe a different one will, because we are different. Female, male, age takes in place. But some of the things we're going to talk about is what could maybe hold you back from the fat loss. Because the biggest thing for reversing insulin resistance is to shrink the fat cells and to gain or at least maintain muscle as you lose weight, because that will give it the glucose more places to go. That's what you want. You don't want to lose muscle as you're losing weight. You just want to lose the fat. Because I'm not trying to pick on you, but you're very small. And you have?
Oh, pick on me.
You're very small, but you have type 2 diabetes.
Yes.
To somebody else, you look so healthy and small, right? You are a great example. You don't have a lot of fat cells, but the ones that you have at this moment are stuffed full. So at this moment, we want to reverse that. We want to shrink those fat cells, and like you said, you want to get some muscle. So glucose has more places to go.
Some people, and it depends on your genetics, definitely, some people fatten much easier than other people. And so certain ethnicities can become very severely obese but not have type 2 diabetes. Right? That's possible. And so other people can remain very, very slender and seemingly healthy by modern standards, but have severe uncontrolled type 2 diabetes with an A1C of 13.2.
Exactly.
Right? And so we have to realize that metabolic disease can present itself differently in different people, depending on, it's probably genetic, but there could be other factors at play we just don't understand yet.
Right, but if you still have insulin resistance at that weight that you're not comfortable at, you have to shrink the fat cells more. Because you're eating past your personal fat threshold. Your personal fat threshold is, everybody's different there, and you can eat totally carnivore and eat past your personal fat threshold. You're just filling the cells too much, and sometimes that does happen. You can't eat all day, all the fat. You know, we're just saying maybe 2 meals a day would work better for you. Some way to get that personal fat threshold down, and some ways to do that would maybe be focusing on meat, fatty meat, whatever, and maybe just don't add the butter to it to stop.
So when you say insulin resistance, what is that like? How's that explained?
What is your definition of insulin resistance?
Insulin is like a net over your fat cells. It's holding everything in. And when it gets too stuffed, your personal fat threshold is too stuffed, your net just can't hold it anymore. It's freaking out. And it's kind of like when we're looking at your blood sugar versus your insulin levels. Let's look at it like an RPM, like your car and your speedometer RPM, okay? So let's say you ate a bunch of protein and your blood sugar goes to like 120. So it looks really, really bad. But your insulin is just cruising along. It's in the green zone. It's like barely idling, right? That's the good home IR. That's where you want to be, okay? But if you just ate 2 sticks of butter, your blood sugar might be 80. Looks great. But you ate past your personal fat threshold, your insulin is pegged. You're in the red line. That's a danger
The
zone.
fat caused an insulin spike?
If you're eating past your personal fat threshold.
Because I haven't seen that in the research literature, nor have I seen that in my
It's
practice.
not the fat in general, it's the too much
what?
food, fuel. You're eating too much fuel.
But in this case, fat would be the fuel you're talking about.
I'm just saying it's usually protein that's going to raise your blood sugar and everybody freaks out.
So maybe you should eat
So if you just ate
maybe
protein.
you should talk about your personal protein threshold then.
So if you ate, say, a whole bunch of protein with 2 sticks of butter on top of that, even though
So the protein caused the insulin spike, or the insulin, or the fat did?
I just said with the protein, the insulin didn't move. But you have the protein plus the fat, then it's going to...
So the fat caused the insulin spike?
It's just, you ate past your personal fat threshold. You ate
I
too
don't know
many
what that
calories.
term means. I haven't read that in the literature.
You haven't?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Let's not make it about you and me right now.
I wasn't.
Okay. I can often get intimidated by people like Ken. He's an intimidating guy. He's a very big person. He can also eat a lot more than me because I'm about 1.5 feet shorter than him. But I do know my facts, and I do know when you eat copious amounts of fat, it only has 2 places to go. You can be burned as fuel, or it goes to the fat cells. Only about 8% goes through the stool. If more than that goes through the stool, you have diarrhea, which is not a good thing. So what happens is when you eat past your personal fat threshold, that insulin net can't hold it anymore, and you get insulin resistance. That's what I was trying to explain. I do know my stuff, and I do know he has a YouTube about personal fat threshold. So it was just a little upsetting how he had to treat me that way. I felt like he wanted to make sure I didn't know more than him, but I think I do.
So I'm with Dennis that term insulin resistance, because I've heard it quite a bit. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, I still struggle with it because let's see if I can put what's in my head now and either of you can jump in. So I need a certain amount of insulin in me. And to me the word resistance means something is holding my insulin back. Does that mean something in me isn't producing enough, or is it that I have the insulin but it's not doing what it's supposed to do? How eloquent was my question?
No,
there?
it's a very good question, and it's a relevant question. And that's why a few years ago I stopped using the term insulin resistance, because I find it to be uniformly confusing, number one. And number two, there's not a single test that you can do in your doctor's office that literally tests for insulin resistance. There is no such test for that. And so if you eat a food, and we know that carbohydrates spike your blood sugar the most, and therefore they spike your insulin the most, because the insulin has to deal with that blood sugar spike. Protein raises your insulin to some degree, but not as much as carbohydrates, but your insulin still has to go up to match the protein intake. Fat barely bumps your insulin at all. And that's why many people find that when they eat a higher fat diet, they tend to burn fat faster, because if your insulin is elevated, if you have hyperinsulinemia, insulin does hundreds of things in your body, but one of the things it does is basically tell your fat cells to lock the door and don't let anybody out. And so when you've got hyperinsulinemia chronically, it's almost impossible to metabolize the fat that's stored on your body. And so I find that it helps people a lot to talk about what's your blood sugar, what's your A1C, what's your fasting insulin. Because then immediately you're like, oh, I get it. So if my insulin's chronically elevated, I've got hyperinsulinemia, that's bad. I can fix that by eating a low-carb diet. And then when my insulin returns to low enough normal, that unlocks the figurative door to the fat cell. And then you can start to metabolize away the excess stored fat. I want my insulin level to be as low normal as I can get it if your goal is to burn stored fat. If that's your goal, is to lower your percentage of body fat, then you want that insulin level to be as low normal as possible for as many hours a day as possible.
So if I understand correctly, we want the insulin level to be as low as possible if that person wants to lose fat. So in my case, I do not want to lose fat.
Right.
What is the scenario of insulin for me?
So again, from just a stack of research literature, that hyperinsulinemia also leads to a host of other conditions, including fatty liver, including hypertension, including PCOS, including acne. And so everyone wants their fasting insulin to be within normal limits. And so if you're eating a very low carbohydrate, because a lot of people have said to me, and probably you too, I can't eat keto, I'm too skinny. I don't want to lose more weight. And they're assuming that keto or carnivore is just a weight loss diet. And it's not. It's a weight optimization diet. I've actually seen people gain weight, gain muscle and gain bone, eating a whole food keto diet or a carnivore diet.
Your best goal is to replace that fat with muscle. if you want to stay that same size, gain muscle to have the glucose, more places to go. That's essentially what you want to do.
That was echoed earlier in one of the sessions. Yeah.
So I hope that we were able to help you guys and clear up some stuff and answer some questions. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it was
All right.
amazing.
Maria and I go back a long way. I love Maria like a sister, and that's not the first time we've ever butted heads, and it probably won't be the last. We're both very passionate in what we do, and we believe strongly in what we're doing. We don't agree on everything, and I think that's fine. I think that's healthy for the community, for there to be alternate theories and hypotheses. I try not to ever let it get to me. I try not to get emotional, but some people have more problem with that than others.
Yeah, I showed him the video. I said, "You said you didn't know what this was." And I showed him the video, and he's like, "No, I didn't say I didn't know what it was. I said there was no medical research about that." And it's like, there is absolutely a lot of research about it. So, I don't know. I just think he wants to be the big fish, make sure that I kept in my place, but I know my place, and I'm doing a very good job in it.
Coming up on Reversed. We had these lovely ladies here before on the last season.
So, do any of you practice intermittent fasting or have tried any type of fasts?
Dr. Hampton.
Man, so happy to spend a moment with you today. It's been nice getting to know you.
Do any of you have any concerns or questions about family life?
Dedicate ourselves to a simple code. Know your food, know your farmer. Our foods are loaded with omega-3s, CLA, branched-chain amino acids, and vitamins and minerals because we raise and prepare them in a healthy, sustainable way. Our efforts today allow our children and grandchildren to enjoy healthy food tomorrow. They're good for the planet and good for you.
If you're looking for a way to optimize your carnivore diet and get the most nutrition possible, organ meats are probably the best way to go. But if you're like me and you don't like eating liver, you don't like eating organ meats because you just don't like the flavor or whatever, the best next option is to get some supplements where you're getting the actual organ with the actual full complement of bioavailable vitamins, minerals, and everything that you need to optimize your nutrition. MK Supplements is a family-owned business that has offered to provide all of us here on the show some excellent product, and it's something that you should look into if you really want to make the most out of everything that you're doing to improve your health. I'm really glad you all got here, nice and safe and sound. You know, I really think that at the end of this, there's going to be some change, some growth.
So I think the message that has to go out is the message of love, the message of peace.
So once again, we have brought all of you amazing people a little bit of local culture. And once we couldn't be in Costa Rica and not have that. We had these lovely ladies here before on the last season, and we had to bring them back. And Luis has been so kind to help us with this, and Pamela has been so kind to help us too as well. And I'm gonna try to get the name right.
El Cesteo.
El
Cesteo.
El Cesteo. Cesteo. El Cesteo. There we go. All right. Take it away.
It really, I'm not an emotional person, but it really is very overwhelmingly cool. Of course, hanging out with carnivore friends and eating meat together, but to know this message is getting a voice.
As we are closing our experience together, the words that are coming to mind are joy, connection, health, community.
Great things happen during this week together with the guests. People coming with high expectations of something probably new to them. And I think they're going back home with experience, practical experience, because that's what we did. We ate like this all day long. And also theory and tools to defend themselves whenever they are in front of people that might not think this is the right way. Whenever you find yourself in the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect. And we know that at least 88% of people have metabolic disease. That means that the majority of people are sick. So we need to pause and reflect and do something that leads us to health. And you know, we went through emotional things, the real motivators of human behavior and how to change them, as well as community, which I believe and science has shown that is the most powerful tool in terms of a long-term change. So yeah, I'm really happy for what we achieved during this week and so excited to see the results and how they can maintain this new lifestyle.
Well, I am so excited to be able to talk to you guys tonight about my favorite topic other than carnivore, and that is intermittent fasting. So my name is Emily Harbeau, I'm 51 years old, and I have lost 150 pounds from combining the carnivore diet with intermittent fasting. I had heard about this concept that people get in the carnivore life where they get what's called food freedom and where the cravings are gone, that they're so nourished, they're feeling so good that food no longer controls their thoughts. I'd had a lot of experience with that through fasting. Fasting can do that for people as well, but when your fast is over, you need to eat so well to be able to be nourished, and so you need to eat really well to start the fast and to end the fast. So for me, it was like the perfect combination of this food that gave me the food freedom and so simple. Oh my goodness. This was the way of life, and this was the eating pattern that got me to optimal health and ideal health and got me away from a life of obesity, exhaustion, depression, anxiety. So it is a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and I'm so excited to answer your questions about intermittent fasting.
So do any of you practice intermittent fasting or have tried any type of fasts?
Yes,
Yeah, what type?
I've done. I started with 12-12, 16-8, like fasting 16 hours, then 8. Then I came into philosophy, and in philosophy I learned more about switching the pattern like every 2 weeks. But I like it a lot. It was my first stage into this process in 2017 when a friend told me about it, and I started like looking for audiobooks and things, and then I've been ever since putting more things into my way of living. Throughout the process of the last 2 years, following what philosophy teaches of the 10 biological strategies and what I learned in reverse and whatever I had learned before, I look forward to learn more in this process, and I do get to my goal of being healthy and being on target or on task in myself and my health.
What type of benefits, results have you seen?
Well, my period was one of the first things. It became like a good cycle and no pain. Like for years I had pain. Well, I was on pills at some point, then I had a lot of pain, and I will even get like fever like when I had my period. And then I started intermittent fasting, and everything went away.
So that's the thing, polycystic ovarian syndrome is one of the leading causes of infertility in women, and quite a lot of people don't realize exactly how this comes about. Well, one of a major cause of polycystic ovarian syndrome is actually hyperinsulinemia. So the insulin levels are just chronically high, they're just constantly high, and that can do a lot of things in your body. It disrupts your metabolism and sort of switches you from a fat burning metabolism to a fat storage metabolism. But one of the most important things that it does, especially in a woman's body, is it blocks a conversion of testosterone into estrogen. So women don't actually make estrogen directly. It starts from cholesterol. There's about 27 intermediary steps, and the last one right before estrogen is testosterone. So you actually make testosterone first, and then that's converted into estrogen in the ovaries. But high insulin blocks that. And so just by going into a ketogenic diet or intermittent fasting, you're going to reduce that.
I think for a lot of carnivores, when they start carnivore, they start healing. Hormones are balanced, cycle comes back. For me, I lost my period for 2 years, and then it came back after I went carnivore. I ate multiple meals throughout the day when I first started because I was pretty hungry. I initially gained a lot of weight, but 6 months of consistent carnivore eating, I started to feel less and less hungry. And I see a lot of carnivores kind of naturally just start intermittent fasting after a couple months of consistent meaty meals, animal fats. After 6 months for me, I started just eating 2 meals a day. I feel starving all the time, yet I'm bloated 24/7. My skin is getting worse. What is going on? And so I really relate to those sentiments. I went through that because of the vegan diet. And after watching those ex-vegans turned carnivores, that inspired me so much. And I was so desperate to heal and get results and turn my health around that I was like, let's do this.
So I've experienced a lot of extended fast. That's kind of been my jam. So I like to do every other day, alternate day fasting, 48-hour fasts. And what I noticed with carnivore, especially once I went to high-fat carnivore, that my fasts got so doable and easy. It was not a struggle. It was a neutral state. It was a state of just eating enough at this one period of time. Took some intention, but it's not a starving. It's not, I can't handle this. It's not what we call white knuckling. It's yeah, exactly. Because once you're getting to those white knuckling and you're nauseous or shaky, or that's time to end your fast. So fasting is a muscle, and it's a training, and it's an adaptation. So what I have found is it's best to start slowly if that's something that you want to incorporate into your life, to start with like a 2-MAD, move to an OMAD. These are 2 meals a day, 1 meal a day. And then pretty soon, if this is something that you guys want to try for your healing, you can start doing alternate days and skipping days. If you have the correct nutrition and your feasting is on point, then the fasting is a whole nother world, and you can tap into so many benefits. One of the benefits is the human growth hormone. And so I was thinking about that with your story. And so that it peaks during that time. And so that's something, a hormone that comes up that is beneficial. So this is a phenomenal process because it's like taking out the trash from your cells.
I learned a lot about fasting from Emily because she's one of the pro fasters and the most passionate fasters I've ever met. And so whenever I talk to her about carnivore, she often brings in this extra tool of fasting. So there was a phase where I tried fasts longer than 24 hours, and I did up to 48-hour fasts. And the results and benefits that I got were incredible. My favorite one was the mental clarity and the boost in mood. So I wanted to bring that up. If you guys are interested in that benefit, you can really use it situationally. So if you're traveling, do a fast, feel amazing, have good immune system. If you are about to have an event, so like sometimes if I'm gonna perform, I'm gonna be on stage, I wanna be at my sharpest and feel like I'm on a limitless pill. And that's literally what I feel like. I'm like pumped up and extremely focused. So that's another great way to incorporate a little bit of fasting. So I see fasting as like an extra tool to carnivore, which is lifestyle.
Awesome.
Wrap up?
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. You can just reach out to us anytime throughout the next few days if you have any more questions about fasting. We just hope that you're inspired to maybe incorporate later after you're adapted and more used to the carnivore lifestyle.
Thank you.
Thank you
Awesome.
very
Thank
much.
you guys for following.
Dr. Hampton,
Man, so happy to spend a moment with you today. It's been nice getting to know you. I see you in the virtual world, but you know, here you are in front of me. So it's been nice to get to know some of the people I love and respect. It's like a family that I adopted maybe 2 years ago when I started really getting involved in the low-carb community. Hey, I'm Dr. Tony Hampton. I am a family doctor. I'm board certified in obesity medicine. I also have a master's in nutrition and functional medicine, and now I get a chance to meet the real people. So it's been enlightening, and I'm just happy to meet you in person.
Well, it's a pleasure. And can I call you Tony, by the way?
Absolutely, please.
And Rob, please. What I've learned is a familiarity to this carnivore community. And we're finding a space where we can openly communicate and talk, because quite commonly in our medical practices, it's not so easy, is it?
Not at all. Having a community to support these types of decisions and then inspiring not only the patients but clinicians like myself has been wonderful. So I really appreciate the work that we're doing here. I appreciate the work you're doing and others who are trying to impact the world, and it's been nice to experience.
Well, this is the first time we've met, and part of our conversation earlier was the reason we went into medicine.
Yes.
Which is to help people, help our community, to meet new people. There are some new people here that we're meeting and new ideas, and so I'm like a kid in a candy store that loves candy, but no, I don't eat it. I stay away. But really, what does Kiltz really live for? Steak, fatty steak. But again, the energy is like that little kid that just has the answer. Pick me, I know the answer. But I'm still excited to learn as a student and to be part of the teaching. And I'm honored each and every day to be here.
That's right.
And this has been an eye-opener for both of us in finding keto and carnivore, and how a simple dietary change can eliminate almost all diseases that we have been trained to care for with a model of pharmaceuticals and dissections. And that's been a game changer for me. And the most important thing is the testimony is coming from our family members in our community, and we're seeing it, and we personally experienced it, both of us, to feel better. And this story of, I'm going to throw keto and carnivore, because we can help people at least find something to start with.
That's right.
And many people will heal with that, but carnivore is that next level that we can't be afraid to share. And it does take courage, as you said, and lions are the symbol of courage.
That's right.
And that's what we're here to share in this carnivore world.
That's right. And that's the choice we need to encourage our patients to make. I do use that example as well with the lion. I compare the lion to the ape and the cow and the hippo and the other elephants, and I say, you know what? I think that lion may be a better model for you. So let's look at that lion as a model so that you can have the courage and strength of a lion, the body of a lion, and hopefully the metabolic health of a lion.
The most important things in life are hard, but every human being I've ever met is capable of hard.
Yeah.
And that's our job as physicians, to inspire our clients, our patients, our community, that they can do it, and we know they can, and we're going to give them the tools that they will be successful in their endeavors in this and in many other things in life.
Well, I'm just happy we met at this event, so let's keep doing this work, and I appreciate you, man. I love what you're doing.
God bless you, my friend. I love you, and I am here to be part of the journey to share and encourage people.
Appreciate you.
All right.
All right, thanks.
God bless.
Hello, beautiful ladies. How are we all doing tonight?
Well, let's discover and explore some other topics within the girl universe. So who wants to start with updating us? How is life on Carnivore?
I think it's cool how I have influenced my children, and then they influence other kids because they want to preach health to everybody. And when they see kids eating, Skittles or whatever, they're very excited to teach them about food that makes them feel good. But just the fact that my kids want to, because they want to replicate you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was the whole idea of you want your kids to eat broccoli, eat the broccoli. If you want them to eat the steak, and they do. They want to do that. They want to be strong and fast. And I love how when they're playing with other kids will have to stop to have lunch, and my kids are like waiting. Come on, are you done yet?
Yes.
You know, and they're eating nothing but. For me, it's not even food. It's Cheetos or whatever at the beach. And my boys are they kind of sit, I watch them, they're just sitting like, oh, I wish they were done, you know, because they just want to keep playing. But I'm very grateful for my kids to be on the journey with us.
Do any of you have any concerns or questions about family life, whether it's husbands or how to deal with social situations at family events or children?
I've done changes for the last 12 years in different aspects in referring to food. So I think we've managed and the kids have understood and taken decisions, and I've allowed them to make decisions by themselves, explaining why are my reasons to choose this food over the other food. So I think the example, the modeling and explaining properly is the best tool you as a mother can do.
You have to make it fun, and I really think that involving your kids in the kitchen is crucial. And so my kids know how to make their own steaks, they can make their own eggs, like they've become very independent with that. And so just the fact that they have the cooking skills, that's going to be such an asset to them.
So many adults don't know how to cook.
Yeah.
It's so important to teach your kids. Have you noticed any changes eating this way, personally? Maybe in the bedroom? I don't know.
Hey, now we're talking.
Have you seriously noticed that?
Huge. Night and day. Yeah, no, when I was sick and overweight and, you know, my libido was almost not there. And so, yeah, this has been a much improvement to my marriage. Absolutely.
It's another reason why your man would want you to eat this way, too,
That's
right?
Well, it's really hard to want to do that.
Yeah.
When you don't
Tired.
feel,
Yeah.
you're exhausted, you're tired, and I used to get, I had sores that were really painful. Nobody wants to have sex when you've got boils, let's be honest. It's not you just don't feel feminine and beautiful, and then when that all clears up and your energy comes back, you're like, okay, so maybe yes.
Yeah. I think it all starts from how you feel about yourself, about your own body. So it doesn't matter what you look like. If you don't feel confident in your own skin, you're not going to want to do the intimate, acts with your partner and the people that you love, the person that you love. And I definitely noticed, like when I had skin issues and a face full of acne, I didn't want to even make eye contact with anyone. So how is that part of life going to ever happen? But again, back to nutrition, food, what do you feed your body to get the results of good skin, lower body fat, happy hormones, just higher libido is just simply what you feed your body. So that's what I've noticed.
We are reflecting what we are eating and how our moods are better. Other people want to join us, and it'll just be a better community, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
I think this conversation is worth celebrating. So let's just link hands. I love you, ladies, so much. It was such a wonderful experience getting to know each and every one of you guys.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Having some of the best experts part of this journey has been so key. What the guests will learn would have taken months, if not longer, to get the traditional way of healthcare. I think that's been one of the keys. One place, one message of health. Not everyone has to follow the same path as far as nutrition. We can all find what works best for us. But there are things that we know are certain, that we are aware of and have the tools and can change the outcome with the right information. Tune in to the next episode
of Reversed.
I think a lot of people yesterday were kind of surprised at our conversation.
I really like to observe how I feel, my energy, my sleep.
For me, I felt better on higher fat.
Isn't it amazing how close we get in just a short period of time? I can't believe it's over.
All right, guys, I got everyone together because I really want to explore some of the myths.
Reverse TV series, a home run.
And when I say I was worried, I was worried. Unfortunately, we have come to an end